Hello, welcome to the start of a brand new week with Granada Reports. We're live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, here's what's on the programme this evening.
Exclusive, the couple from Bury bringing comfort and hope to the Ukrainian border, where so many are fleeing the horror of war.
It really makes me think of everything I've got at home.
Chaotic scenes at Manchester Airport as passengers face more disruption going through security. It blames staff shortages.
Ian was just 18 when he went to war in the Falklands. 40 years on, was it all worth it?
Much more than a game, the football legends taking on a team of celebs to help the arena families.
And there's some nice spring sunshine to get out and about in this weekend, but it's unsettled this week. The forecast is coming up.
First tonight, how the smallest of heartbeats can make the world of difference to a refugee from a war zone, and how a midwife from Bury has been making that moment happen on her personal mission to help refugees crossing the border into Poland.
Yes, Wendy Warrington's just arrived home after 3 weeks helping to comfort and care for Ukrainians fleeing the war. She was joined for the final days there by her husband, Simon.
Our reporter Victoria Grimes was also in Przemysl last month. She's just been back to meet up with Wendy and her husband to see how they've been helping people in such desperate need.
A hug from a stranger and a blanket. Small comforts matter when you're so cold. 4-year-old Arsen fled Kharkiv with his mum and brother Valery. They've been travelling for days and are sick with coughs and fever. Juliana, their mum's heavily pregnant and something isn't right.
She feels very small. I've just examined her and I would say she's probably around 28 weeks. We're going to arrange an urgent ultrasound and she looks anaemic, so we're going to try and get that sorted out.
Desperate volunteers at the refuge centre called midwife Wendy. She's rushed here to help. Juliana's in shock. Her husband's in Ukraine. She and the children are living in a storeroom until they know where they're headed. And without Wendy, she and her baby wouldn't be getting the specialist care they need. Wendy's husband Simon's just driven 27 hours from Bury, and straight away he's on this mercy mission in a donated ambulance which will stay in Poland.
Horsey! Yay! They're nice. Beautiful children, lovely family, and yeah, it really makes me think of everything I've got at home. So,
what are you going to say to your grandkids when you see them?
I was going to give them a big hug and tell them I love them. And Granda's always loved them, and I can love other children, and I just want to make a difference. And
it's good news for Juliana. She's only 6 months pregnant, so the baby's a healthy size. At last, a glimmer of a smile, the first in a long time.
It's just made my day, honestly. Just seeing the children, the smile on the faces and the relief on mum. This is what it was all about. The memories that I'll have and the photos that I'll have will always stay in my heart and in my mind, what I've seen here.
In the 3 weeks she's been here, Wendy's seen and heard enough horror to last a lifetime. Her care's brought reassurance as life starts and comfort as it ends. During a perilous trip across the border to Lviv, she met 23-year-old Ivana, too ill to stay and too ill to travel alone. Forced to say goodbye to her love, both know they'll probably never see each other again.
Seen her with a partner, Vladislav, who was ready to go to fight to war, to see their sort of tenderness between them, but they both felt that they had a job to do, and hers was to go to Warsaw in the hope to get well, and him to go fight for his country.
Ivana's since been transferred to a hospice. Wendy hasn't heard from her in 4 days.
It's a bittersweet, because we know with it being a hospice what ultimately the outcome will be. However, to know that she's safe and she's going to be comfortable, I just didn't want her to be on her own.
Yeah. Just help me to hold the stretcher.
I think the sound of the air raid siren when we were transporting Ivana, that did frighten me a bit, but we just carried on.
How did you feel when you heard that about Wendy?
I know she's special, I married her. So, no, she's so caring, she's got so much love to give, and nothing is ever too much trouble. She loves helping people, she really does.
As she prepares to leave Poland, Wendy's already planning her return.
I don't think until you've been here and you've actually been inside the humanitarian centres or spoken to the people and listened to their stories that you can actually quantify the true horror of what is happening. And for me, that's something that will stay with me, I think, for the rest of my days. I never expected in my lifetime that we would see something like this happening again, and this is why, you know, we must help. These people haven't chosen this life. You know, they were living their life. It's been snatched away from them. So giving them some comfort at this time of their extreme trauma. And sometimes that can just be a smile or holding someone's hand. It can be, you know, giving somebody a hug. It could sometimes just be the smallest thing that really makes that bit of difference, and somebody will hold forever.
And who are you most looking forward to seeing when you get back?
I'm looking forward to seeing my grandchildren and my children, of course, but my grandchildren, I've missed them so much, but I know that they are proud of me, and that means a lot. And I hope that when they grow up, that they will be able to maybe, you know, remember like what the grandma and granddad have done, and will shape them into being good people.
She may be leaving, but the loving care she's left behind will stay with those she's helped for as long as they live. Victoria Grimes, ITV News, Przemyśl on the Poland-Ukraine border.
That really brings a lump to your throat. We have Wendy and Simon with us in studio tonight. Great to see you both. Well done for all of that. What's it like to be back, Wendy?
It's a bit bittersweet, to be honest, knowing what I've left behind and the work that still needs to be done and is ongoing. But it's been great to see my family, catch up with the grandchildren, and just generally to be back. It's not really stopped though, because I'm still ongoing organising things that are happening there.
And what was it like though to leave those scenes behind? Children, you know, clinging onto one little toy. It's just heartbreaking, isn't it?
It is heartbreaking, and I think that's one of the reasons why I do want to go back, because I wanted to make a difference, and I thought, well, if I don't, I'll just come back. But I've stayed, and it's gone by in a flash, and it still is for me. When I've just seen that film, it's just really brought back the reality of what is going on there for those families and for those children.
And Simon, I saw you with tears in your eyes watching that film. It's tough, isn't it?
It is. It's been tough watching it from home, and when I got there, it was just the same. It's so rewarding, but there's so much more that needs to be done. It's great to support what Wendy was doing out there. Yeah.
Wendy, just take us back to when you first went out there. What was it that struck you the most about what you were seeing?
I think the scale of it, the scale and the numbers of people that were coming through, the families and with the children, a lot of older people as well. And I think for me, what really struck a chord was the fact that they didn't know where they were going. So they didn't know what town they were going to end up, what city, even what country. And they were just shell-shocked. And I think for me, the looks in their eyes, really, for me, something that will stay with me.
And Simon, Wendy said there that she wanted to make a difference. You can tell us from what you've seen, what sort of a difference was she making out there?
She touched people's lives, she's made them smile, she's reassured them that they're going to be okay, and taken away some of the worry from them. But we can never replace what they've lost, but we can only try and make them a little bit happier for a short space of time that we're with them.
You must be incredibly proud of her.
I am. She's done a great thing, and she's going to do it again.
A lot of people have been watching things unfold and feeling very helpless. What was it that made you think, I'm going out there to do my bit?
I don't really know. For me, it was the fact that I've got the skills, which I've said, but also the fact that I speak Polish, and I thought that would really be something that would help me, and it has. And I just thought about if that was happening and it was my my family or my grandchildren, how much I would want somebody to go and try and help them. And I think that's what sticks in my mind. Also the fact that my granddad, he was in Auschwitz, and this sort of thing that's happened now, I think that's what's really touched me, because it sort of made me think about what went back for World War II. And I never thought that I would see that happen again, and it was just, I felt compelled to go and do something.
And Simon, you were out there driving an ambulance out there that they will be able to use now.
Yeah, we
What made you do that?
Just because we wanted to take it, we wanted to make a difference, and I drove for 27 hours non-stop to get there as soon as I could. So.
Well, you're incredible people,
Thank
Wendy
you.
and Simon. You have done the Northwest proud. That's
Absolutely.
absolutely true. An absolute privilege to meet you, talk to you on Granada Reports. And I know that there are some other people that you've made quite proud too.
Yes, we have.
So let's see whether or not
Got a
they
little
might
surprise
like to
for you.
come and join us. They're quite little people,
Probably quite noisy as well.
That's it. Keep walking.
and they're
you go
just coming
straight to
round the
Grandma.
corner. Because they are so very proud of you, Amelia, Jake and Luca. Well done, kids. Thank you.
Do you want to see Granddad? Go see Granddad.
There we go. Come on in. Come here.
This is so
Amelia, do you want to come in?
That's it.
A lovely big hug, because Amelia was telling us how very, very proud of you she is, and we all are.
Did you want to say something to Grandma? What did you want to say?
I miss you and I love you. I'm very proud of you.
Oh, well
What a
done.
lovely message.
Absolutely
Wendy,
beautiful. Well done.
How
well
much
done.
does it all mean to you to be home now?
Well, this just absolutely is everything. Just seeing my grandchildren, all of them, yes, you. But do you know what? Seeing her response means everything, because she's a little bit older and she understands, and I think just seeing her getting upset, I'm glad I came home now just to see them.
And Simon, these hugs just mean everything. After everything you've seen out there, it really sort of hits home, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It really does. It really makes us realise we can make a difference to people. And it's nice to be
One
back.
thing that really struck me as well was when you both said that you wanted your grandchildren to look back on what you'd done and to know that you can make a difference by being a good person. You want that message to go out, don't you?
Yeah, I want them to learn from this, that really sometimes, you know, just doing that little bit can make a difference, and I hope that they'll always remember this.
They will,
Yeah.
and so will we. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
It's been an
everything.
absolute privilege. Thank you.
Well done. Well, we'll leave them to have their special hugs now, and we'll move on to people planning to use Manchester Airport for their Easter getaway, who must be wondering what sort of departure they'll face.
Yeah, long queues through security are continuing to be reported, with video emerging of some chaotic scenes there.
Now, the airport has apologised, saying passenger experiences have fallen below the standard it aims to provide. Our reporter Tasha Kachiri has been following developments.
Frustrated, fed up and angry. Those are the words that passengers from Manchester Airport were using to describe how they were feeling. Over the weekend there were long delays, there were issues getting through security and just checking in, and that's continued into today. Now, Nicola was at Manchester Airport this morning with her daughter Laura, who has a brain tumour and needs to go to Germany every month to get treatment.
But it was a security queue that's the real problem. And the staff are doing their best, but it's 2.5 hours at least to get through. I felt so sorry for the families with small children this morning. It's an incredibly long time to stand with a toddler. Laura was in the wheelchair, so we were able to make use of what would be the fast track lane. So it wasn't as bad for us.
Travel experts say there are a few problems, the biggest one being sickness due to COVID. EasyJet have already cancelled 6 flights today to and from Manchester Airport because of this. The other big problem is training.
During the COVID pandemic, when aviation almost collapsed completely, an awful lot of people with an awful lot of experience and security clearance left the industry. And so now everyone's trying to recruit, whether that's security staff for the checks when you go into the airport, whether it's cabin crew, whether it's pilots. and there's actually a shortage of suitable people.
Manchester Airport have apologised for giving an experience that they say fell below standard. They also went on to say the removal of all travel restrictions coupled with the start of the summer travel season has seen a rapid increase in passenger numbers, which is putting an enormous strain on our operation. We're doing all we can to recruit the staff we need to meet the demand. But Nicola said airport bosses should have been prepared for this.
Well, the thing is, the Easter holidays have not come as a surprise. And we have had the airports open for a little while now. So I would have hoped that they would have been able to prepare and actually get staff in.
The disruptions are set to continue. So if you're travelling through Manchester Airport at any point, the advice is to go as early as possible and hope for the best.
Yes, and you can find further advice for passengers on our website. That is, of course, itv.com/Granada.
On to more news now. And a man's denied the attempted murder of a 15-year-old girl who was shot at a bus stop in Liverpool. The girl was left seriously injured after the shooting in Toxteth last month. Rio Jones, who's 19 and from Toxteth, will go on trial later this year.
The largest bakery on the Isle of Man will close later this month. Ramsey Bakery has been operating on the island for 50 years. Directors of the firm say rising costs have made the business unsustainable. Chief Minister Alfred Cannon says he hopes to hold an urgent meeting with the company to discuss the closure.
Well, on to buses now. Greater Manchester, the Liverpool City region and Warrington are all getting a share of £7 billion of funding from the government to improve bus services. It's part of plans to level up public transport outside London. The government also says it's to help tackle pressure because of the rising cost of living.
The former Manchester United manager Louis van Gaal has revealed he has prostate cancer. The Dutch national team boss, who won the FA Cup with United in 2016, says he's receiving treatment for the illness. Marcus Rashford, who was given his United debut by Van Gaal, has posted, "You can fight this. We are all behind you."
The first of a series of special reports as we mark 40 years since the Falklands War.
Felt nice to see some sunshine at the weekend, didn't it? We've started the week on a cloudier note, but what does the rest have in store? The details are coming up.
Thanks, Joe, so stay with us. 40 years ago this week, in 1982, Argentinian forces invaded the British overseas territory of the Falkland Islands.
Yes, Argentina had claimed sovereignty over the islands for many years, and their ruling military junta did not believe that Britain would attempt to regain the islands by force. Despite the huge distance involved, the Falklands were 8,000 miles away in the South Atlantic. Britain undertook the extraordinary feat of assembling and sending a task force of warships and rapidly refitted merchant ships to the Falklands.
Well, British forces landed on the islands on the 21st of May. After a series of brutal battles, the Argentinian forces surrendered just over 3 weeks later, on the 14th of June. In a series of special reports, Paul Crone has been talking to 3 veterans of the Falklands War from the Northwest. Tonight, we hear from Ian Wynnard from Bolton. He was just 18 at the time. And a warning that from the start, Paul's report does contain images of war and its casualties.
And then, much later on, a lonely hillside overlooking San Carlos Water was the position for the funeral of the British. It was a sombre, formal and moving event.
The human cost of victory to liberate the British settlement at Goose Green during the Falklands War. 17 men from the Parachute Regiment lay dead. Ideals are peaceful. History is violent.
Captain Wood, Captain Dent, Lieutenant Barry.
The passing of 4 decades has not diminished the sombre burial service as soldiers were laid to rest side by side.
Lance Corporal Thorpe, Lance Corporal Smith.
One man who survived the battle for Goose Green was Ian Wynnard from Bolton. At the time, he was just 18 and served with the 2nd Battalion, the Parachute Regiment. British troops were outnumbered 3-1 by the Argentinian forces as they lined up to fight in May 1982.
When you're on the start line, You're thinking everything, will I see my family again? You are scared. If people say they're not scared, I don't believe them. You'd be lying down on a start line like they used to in the First World War, getting told to stand up and advance to contact.
The fighting was intense and brutal. It was to be the longest battle of the war, lasting for over 14 hours.
You was coming across trenches, so people were throwing grenades in trenches, people had bayonets fitted. Once contact was made, then you see all the tracer coming, you're firing at them. I think we had red tracer, they had green tracer, so you can see the tracer coming towards you. In the parachute regiment, you're a trained killing machine, to be honest. That's what they train you to do, they train you to kill. The training is so tough. Mentally it made me so mentally tough, it's unbelievable.
The commander of 2 Para was Lieutenant Colonel H. Jones. As the British struggled to gain the upper hand, he was killed leading an attack on an Argentine machine gun post. News of his death quickly spread across the battlefield.
The word come through that Colonel Jones had been killed, and I just thought, it doesn't really happen to officers. They shouldn't be at the front. Well, we actually lost 4 officers at Goose Green. But the Colonel Jones one was a massive shock, and you're thinking, whoa, what chances have we got if the top man's getting killed?
Against all the odds, the Paras kept attacking until the Argentine forces surrendered. Ian Winnard fought the first battle of the war at Goose Green and the last battle at Wireless Ridge before marching into the capital, Port Stanley.
They were the first into Stanley, just as they said they would, just as everybody, possibly even the General Staff, knew they would.
The official surrender we heard was when we was in Port Stanley, and there was no cheering. Nobody cheered. We just stood there looking at each other. I think we were just exhausted and just glad it was over. I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud I served. I'm proud I served in the Paras as much as anything. People ask me, was it worth it? And I can't answer that question. For me, the only people who can answer that question are the families of the 255 who never came home. Because I came back unscathed. So I think it'd be selfish of me to say, yeah, it was worth it. In the army, everybody dreams of going to war. But once you've done it, you never want to do it again. And you don't.
Paul Crone, ITV News.
And tomorrow we'll be hearing from the doctor from Lancashire who was on board the merchant navy ship, the Atlantic Conveyor, which was sunk by Argentinian missiles during that war.
Next, though, the people behind a special football match to mark the 5th anniversary of the Manchester Arena attack say it could become an annual event.
Yeah, football legends took on celebrities in the Manchester Remembers game at City's Academy Stadium. All the money raised will go to 5 charities set up after the attack, and our correspondent Amy Welch was there.
Sung out by the survivors' choir, legends in yellow, celebrities in black. And pitchside, 2 former managers who've coached a fair few footballers in their time, but never a game as poignant as this.
It's 1 or 2 of those lads who are a lot younger than our lads who can run a little bit more.
What we've got is an enthusiastic bunch of characters.
We will win by 2 or 3 goals, I think.
10-9 for us. What are you laughing at?
The Manchester Remembers charity football match was organised by Aaron Lee to mark the 5th anniversary of the attack. He was one of the first police officers on the scene.
We've got people like Paddy McGuinness, Jason Manford. Once 1 or 2 came on board and heard what the cause was about, it just snowballed from there.
22 minutes into the game, a round of applause in memory of the 22 who died. All money raised will go to 5 charities set up by those who lost loved ones. The Remembering Nell Foundation is one of them.
It doesn't seem 5 years. And for people to still want to fundraise for the families, for the charities that were set up, is amazing.
Wes Brown had a personal reason for taking part.
My daughter and a friend went to the concert, so when things like this do come up, it's good for everybody to get involved.
Well, at half-time, the legends have the lead, but there is still plenty of time for the celebrities to catch up. And while, of course, it is the taking part that counts, some of them do seem fairly competitive.
There'll be a fair few goals. I'm going to go 5-3 to the celebs.
Are you going to score one of them goals?
I'd like to think I could get in. You know,
hopefully the quality of the football and the fitness level should even itself out, and we'll finish in about a 5-5 draw. That'd be fair, wouldn't it?
In the end, the Legends took the win 8-3.
I don't think so much sore losers. I think everyone's just going to be sore. Because before the game, the Legends are in the dressing room and we're all having a beer, and I'm going, I don't think this is the right thing to be doing really before a game. We should be having a Lucozade or something. So I think there'll be a few torn hamstrings tomorrow, but it's all good.
A great game for a great cause. And Manchester's way of once again showing the families it's a city which still cares. Amy Welch, ITV News, Manchester.
Yeah, well done to everyone involved in that. Now let's check out the weather with Joe.
Now that is brew weather.
And only boiling what she needs.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Big up you, sis.
Thank you. Very good evening to you. Bit of a grey, damp start to the working week, but it has at least felt a little milder today, and there's no danger of any frost tonight. From midweek onwards, the colder theme returns weather-wise, and we could see a few wintry showers up on higher ground especially as we go through into Thursday. But in the meantime, we've got the yellows across the UK, so it's relatively mild. Temperatures are around average for the time of year. From Wednesday onwards, though, that colder air will dig in once more across the country. It's going to feel chillier, I'm afraid, in the run-up to the weekend. However, this evening, no problems with frost or ice. It's damp, cloudy and still quite breezy out there with some hill fog for Pennine areas and the Peak District, the Cumbrian Fells overnight tonight. With low cloud and mistiness around, probably 7 or 8 Celsius rurally tonight. Still a bit of a breeze, as I mentioned before, and some pulses of rain moving into the Isle of Man and Cumbria by dawn. Onto which the sun will be up at 6:35, setting at 7:53. Tomorrow, a damp start to the day with a spell of heavy rain perhaps for Pennine areas and a bit of hill fog to contend with through the rush hour. But very quickly, skies will brighten and it should be largely dry tomorrow afternoon with a few good sunny spells, a bit of a breeze and temperatures tomorrow again at around 12 or 13 Celsius. After tomorrow, the cold air makes a return. There will be a few sunny spells and scattered showers on Wednesday. And some of the showers on Thursday could turn wintry, particularly up on higher ground with some sleet and perhaps some snow. A return to frost by night and a few icy conditions, no doubt, on the region's roads. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
2 sugars, please.
Oh, lovely.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, could be called at Aintree this week.
Absolutely. Tomorrow we have a special report from High Peak where Gamal's been speaking to people on an already struggling housing estate about the cost of living and their fears over what's to come.
For now, thanks very much for watching and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.